Legacies are made in the playoffs. And man, oh, it's on, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah, baby. KD loves it. It's just basketball. You get hot, you make tough shots. You don't feel excited about yourself.
That was probably one of the best feelings ever in my whole life. That's my favorite player of all time.
Pull-up jumper. Durant got it.
Playoff intensity.
This is legendary. Dusk in Minneapolis on a gorgeous 60-degree night in the Twin Cities, where the NBA playoff marquee is lit up a little extra bright tonight in what promises to be a star-studded affair. As we welcome you to first-round coverage on TNT, it's presented by NerdWallet. Can the Phoenix Suns bounce back tonight in Game 2 of this best-of-7 series? The winner of this one moving on to take on the winner between the champion Denver Nuggets and the Lakers. And with that, we say hello and welcome courtside here in Minneapolis alongside the great Greg Anthony. I'm Spiro Ditas. We'll hear from Stephanie Reddy in just a couple of minutes. GA, what a statement win for this up-and-coming Minnesota team in Game 1. We know Kevin Durant. We know the stars on the other side. He played well. They didn't get much beyond him. And Phoenix was dominated inside.
Yeah. Listen, both of the superstars showed up and showed out in Game 1. You had to give the edge to Ant-Man. He was dynamic in that performance, going up against the guy he idolized growing up. But you mentioned it, Spiro. The difference was the paint. That's where Minnesota dominated this game in Game 1. And Rudy Gobert played a huge role in that. You see the 20-second chance points, a 24-rebound edge in that game. And keep in mind that Phoenix actually out-rebounded Minnesota 2 of the 3 games in the regular season. So they've got to shore that area up if they want to even things up.
Second most lopsided win for Minnesota in their playoff franchise history as we take a look at their starting lineups presented by IKEA. Couple of notables. Grayson Allen, remember he left the game the other night with an ankle tweak. Good news, he is back, so we'll keep tabs on how he looks. And meantime, Kyle Anderson, who tweaked his hip, GA, in Game 1, looked to be potentially a significant injury. Surprisingly, Anderson is available tonight to come off the bench for Chris Finch and Minnesota.
And that'll be important. They have other options. Obviously, they'd love to have him out there, but I'm just looking to see if Phoenix can get off to a better start, right? That's really been the key in this matchup in the regular season. And the guy we didn't talk about, Devin Booker, he has been as good as it gets when you talk about postseason performers, not up to par in Game 1.
One thing Frank Vogel touched on in our conversation with him earlier tonight, we have to handle their pressure better as we start to anticipate some of the adjustments that both coaches, Greg, are going to make here in Game 2.
And one way you handle pressure is your ability to move the basketball. If you can move that ball and get Minnesota to have to be in rotation, I think that creates better opportunities for you to attack.
Our officiating crew, Zach Zarba, Josh Tibbin, Dedrick Taylor. Alternate is Murat Kogut. And in the replay center, Courtney Kirkland and Nick Buchert. As we are off and running here in Minneapolis in what is a sea of white, better than 20,000. Durant off target at the start, and the glass controlled by Minnesota. Timberwolves 56 wins in what was their best season in 20 years. Can they take that next step as a postseason team? This is Jaden McDaniels in the corner on the attack. In and out from the high post, and it's tracked down in the corner by Grayson Allen.
And they had Gobert there at the rim for a lob, just unable to make the delivery there, and Phoenix, solid job defensively.
Well, can Bradley Beal and this guy, Devin Booker, have better nights? They're going to have to if they're going to have a chance in this series as Booker misfires on his first take.
No doubt, those guys are going to have to perform at a high level, but they're also going to need an X factor, somebody else on that Phoenix team to step up if they want to even this up.
Karl Anthony Towns, high degree of difficulty, and Nurkic able to clear underneath. Here's Booker on the attack, and he coughs it up. One thing to keep in mind, Booker got into that early foul trouble the other night, picked up 3 fouls in the first half, and that just kind of threw him off the rest of the night.
Yeah, it'll definitely disrupt your rhythm, but that was an example there. That was his athleticism, how strong he was, able to withstand that hit by Booker and not give up ground.
Mike Conley Jr. gets us our first points for Minnesota. Booker's going to reset to Allen on his skip. Interesting Cat defending Durant.
I like the call. Listen, Durant can toast anybody, but with a guy like Towns at 7 feet and the ability to move laterally, you just want to see if you can disrupt the rhythm of Durant here.
Anthony Edwards, 33 points in the series opener. He fires and he bangs in a triple.
And, you know, and everyone raving about how good he was in game one. But keep in mind, his last 5 games, he's averaging 35, 6 and 6. So he has been on a tear.
McDaniels, my goodness. Trying to rip the roof off this place. It'll be on Durant, his first. How about the fearlessness from Jaden McDaniels? He's going to shoot free throws.
And this is an area where it'll become an unfair game if this guy can consistently knock down that triple. And there you can see a little bit of contact on the attack by McDaniels in transition.
GA, think of how this Minnesota team is different from last year. Remember, they lost in the first round against Denver. They didn't make any huge offseason changes, but the 2 guys they were missing in that series, Jaden McDaniels, this kid at the free throw line, and Naz Reid, who are such big pieces for them now, that has changed the dynamic of this team. Everyone talks about, you know, Gobert and Cat, but those 2 have brought something different.
Yeah, look, they've got star power, but if you want to have championship caliber play, you've got to have depth. And those 2 guys, and another turnover here by Phoenix. Those 2 guys, one's going to make all defense, the other was in the running. And great find there by McDaniels for the dunk. The other guy in the running for 6 men. So that's a lot of firepower to add to this roster.
Yes, sir. Don't forget to download the FanDuel Sports app. It's got live betting. It's got live parlays. And it pays instantly. Now, Chuck, who scores the most points tonight? Devin Booker or Anthony Edwards?
I'm going to go with Devin Booker in a bounce back.
All right. You better watch yourself. Dunk!
Well, you add rubber duckies into that group. That's potentially dangerous. Kenny and Chuck, a word from FanDuel. Here comes Devin Booker. Phoenix still looking for their first points. Just under 3 minutes gone by. KD trying to lean in to create the space. Short, and he's missed his first 2.
Yeah, but that was the Gobert effect on that possession because Devin Booker had a chance to attack the rim and saw Gobert rotate over and decided not to attack.
Edwards well short. KD has actually missed his first 3 shots. As Phoenix right now, 0-4 as a team.
And 3 turnovers. So that's the issue. They have turned the ball over and have not been able to get anything to go. And look at the defensive pressure by Minnesota.
Bradley Beal was 6 of 10 of the opener. Underneath, shot clock at 1. Allen has to fire, and he rattles it in. High degree of difficulty deep in the corner.
That was an incredible finish there. And again, even though they score, how about the defense? They forced them to have to take a contested 3 there. So if you're Chris Finch, you like the start defensively.
#1 defensive rating team are the Timberwolves in the NBA this season as Cat is called for a double dribble. There's Frank Vogel, all the injury issues, trying to incorporate Bradley Beal. Their big 3 missed a combined 50 games between them. Booker missed a chunk of the year, and so you had that, but also a lack of your prototype point guard has been a challenge for Vogel.
And sometimes, depending upon the matchup in the postseason, that can be exploited. And this is kind of an example of it here. You'd love to be able to play a lot of pick and roll with Gobert in it. Right there, to be able to create those opportunities, but a great job by Gobert on the contest there.
And they can't play that pick and roll, right? Because they don't have the prototype point guard. Gobert is fouled on a pass. Let's see if they get Allen here. I believe it will be Grayson Allen. That'll be his first.
And when you talk about that prototype, listen, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, they can all run a pick and roll, but they're not necessarily pick and roll players. And by that I mean the pick and roll is not just to get your shot or the pocket pass. It's to put the opposing team in rotation. And so that's where the ability to make a pass that creates an advantage sometimes is lacking.
Supposed to be an illegal pick on Towns. So he picks up a personal here at the 7:32 mark of the first quarter. Chris Finch among the 3 finalists for the NBA Coach of the Year award. Something that this franchise has never had in its history.
And they may not get it this year. As great a job as he has done.
But a tremendous recognition for him nonetheless. Booker elevates, and not the start he was hoping for after Booker really struggled in the opener. At least by his own standards, he was 5 of 16 from the field. So we come up on a 7-minute mark. Edwards against his boyhood idol, Kevin Durant. They run the second defender. Towns, deep shot. And he misses badly. Ricochets out of bounds and goes back to the Suns.
Yeah, I didn't like that shot. Still about 6 seconds on the shot clock. That's one where you kick it to that weak side, maybe get a quick pick and roll or an opportunity to attack.
Remember Karl-Anthony Towns, the 18 games that he missed, the torn meniscus, underwent the knee surgery in early March, so still trying to get himself back to full form. KD, beautiful touch pass inside, it's Nurkic. And just like that, it's a 3-point game.
Yeah, and they're going to need Nurkic to play big. It doesn't always have to show up statistically, but he's got to have more of an impact in the paint on both sides.
Conley playing pick and roll with Gobert. Good ball movement into the corner. McDaniels, a little bit too much. Rebound Nurkic. So Minnesota now has cooled off. Allen looking to push, coughs it up. Another turnover. 4th for the Suns. Look at the Frenchman in the open floor. He flicks it up and his prayer is answered. The basket, however, will not count. Offensive foul against Gobert.
And he doesn't like it.
And Chris Finch is going to challenge. They are going to challenge.
Gobert looking like Mike Conley. That's close.
Successful challenge for Chris Finch. It is a block against Nurkic. Always interesting when you see a coach use that challenge early. It is a gamble, G.A. I know how you feel about it.
I'm not a fan. And he wins this call, and I do think that is a block, but we've seen possessions in this postseason already where it didn't go the way you thought the challenge would. And boy, that would have been risky to lose that challenge in that scenario.
So they keep a challenge. Rudy Gobert to the free throw line. You see what he did in the opener. Gobert once again a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. If he wins it, he would become only the 3rd player in the history of the league to do it 4 times. Offensive rebound and more free throws coming up. Boy, McDaniels ripped to the deck. And boy, again, the rebounding, the glass looming large for Phoenix.
And this is where the postseason.
Boy, KD just picked up his second.
Yeah, that's his second there, but they don't get bodies on bodies there. And they've got to do a better job now if you're Frank Vogel. I've got to believe you keep him in the game and trust that he can continue to play with 2 fouls.
The NBA on TNT is brought to you by the 3-row Kia Sorento, built for the unstoppable. Kia, the official automotive partner of the NBA. So it was Devin Booker getting into the foul trouble in game 1, and tonight it's KD. It was really their only consistent source of offense in game 1. And for the moment, Vogel's going to keep KD on the floor. Here comes Beal, probing, resets to the corner, has Gobert on him. Beal using that dazzling footwork, but he missed. And this will be last touch by Edwards. Shot clock's going to reset.
And that's an example of a possession. When you get Gobert out on the perimeter guarding, Nurkic has got to get to that offensive glass. That's a great job there. Creates another possession for the Suns.
So Booker plays that pick and roll game with Nurkic, and he leans up and in over the top of Gobert. So Nurkic with 4 of the Suns' first 7 points. As we play with 5 and change left in this opening quarter, Booker nearly the steal. Knocked out of bounds in front of the Minnesota bench with 16 seconds to shoot.
If you're Phoenix, you got to feel like you can guard the Timberwolves in the half court. So if you can cut down your live ball turnovers and make them play 5-on-5, you should feel like you can guard.
That's a pull-up, boy. Beautiful stroke. Nickeil Alexander-Walker wasting no time. And how good was he in the opener? 18 points. He hit 4 threes in the first game of the series. Big part of what they did with their bench. Booker, flat-footed three. Back rim kept alive by Nurkic, but it's out of bounds. And it goes back to the Timberwolves.
And you see the difference with Rudy Gobert here as opposed to Utah. They would never put him in switches where he went out and actually guarded perimeter players up top. But he is definitely committed to it and doing a solid job here to start this game.
Edwards nearly turned it over. Naz Reid is checked into the game as well. Nickeil Alexander-Walker dumps it underneath. Gobert! Pretty little flick on the reverse. Half dozen for the Frenchman. They're up 9. And right now, the efficiency level that Minnesota is playing with, impressive. 55% shooting here at the start. KD, boy, buried in the corner. Almost knew the contact was coming. Zach Zarba blows the whistle. And a side out of bounds against Edwards. That's his first.
You still like the competitive spirit of Anthony Edwards there, not allowing airspace for Durant.
Royce O'Neal has checked into the game for Frank Vogel. Here's KD over the top of Naz Reid. And the first points for Durant.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize again how good Nurkic has been here early on. That was a terrific driving kick there to create that opportunity.
Little floater by Alexander Walker. Booker looking to push a transition three. Booker cleans up his own mess. Little fake, lays it up and in. See if that can't get his game going. It's on Reid. And that's going to be his first, so potential three-point play for Devin Booker. And despite some poor shooting, GA, they got a chance to cut it to 4.
Yeah, but that was because they defended well enough and they were able to get out in transition. I think that's going to be critical. As the game speeds up, it makes Minnesota smaller. That size becomes less of an impact offensively.
So Booker completes the tough three-point play. It's a 4-point game, despite the fact that the Suns are shooting 35% if you've just joined us. They've also turned it over 4 times. So all things considered, have to be pleased with where they sit. Naz Reid, tough contested layup by Durant. And Eric Gordon controlling for Phoenix, up the floor to KD. Or Durant nearly turned it over underneath. He nearly walked. He turns it over nonetheless.
Yeah, that was just a good job defensively by Naz Reid. I tell you, I am blown away by Gobert and his commitment to playing in space.
Left-handed bounce underneath McDaniels. Gobert! Dazzling pass by McDaniels.
Minnesota doing a terrific job with the ball movement here, in control early are the Timberwolves.
That's his franchise. Hall of Fame player by the end of his career, the way he playing up there. So if he keep this up, he's on a great pace to do that.
Let's go, come on, come on.
Right now, he's playing as well as anybody in the league.
Super crafty, puts the defender in tough positions.
Me and you, let's get to it.
And you don't stop a guy like Jalen Brunson. You can't say enough good things.
Jalen Brunson with another answer.
Knicks 76ers, Thursday on TNT.
Your calling. Some people find theirs at an early age, others later in life. No matter when you find it, consider yourself lucky, because it becomes your everything. Our calling was to build trucks, and that's why trucks are what we do. We put our everything in every truck, so that when you find your calling, nothing can stop you from answering it.
You're watching the 2024 NBA playoffs presented by Google Pixel. Target center, rocking, and Stephanie Reddy working the sidelines for us here tonight. Hi, Stephanie.
Hey there, Sparrow. A lot's been made of Anthony Edwards' offensive prowess, his athleticism, and how he can score at will. Well, I talked to him about his defense. I asked him earlier, what was the moment that he decided to make defense a priority and to take pride in it? He said that Finch challenged him a couple of summers ago. He's referring to head coach Chris Finch. He said that he needed to be a better defender if they wanted to win. Finch told him that he has to play both sides of the ball, and Ant told me that he took on the challenge. In the summertime, he tried to get into best shape, and guys, it's worked. Minnesota is winning, and they're the #1 rated defense in the NBA.
Stephanie, that light has come on without a doubt for Anthony Edwards. Devin Booker suddenly starting to cook, and we got a 4-point game. But maybe the scariest thing about Anthony Edwards, GA, he's 22.
Yeah.
Here he comes into the paint, taking some contact, and he's going to shoot a couple of free throws. It's on Gordon.
And I love, he gave Coach Finch a lot of credit, but Coach Finch talked a lot about the impact Rudy Gobert has had on the whole team in terms of challenging them and getting them to understand the importance of that side of the ball. And that's really kind of morphed this team into what is now a true contender in this Western Conference.
Oh, you still have time to win $1 million. Make your picks with NBA Pick'em Bracket Challenge presented by Airtime. Submit your playoff bracket before they lock this week at NBA.com/bracket or in the NBA app. Drew Eubanks and Bradley Beal have checked in for Phoenix. First time we're seeing Eubanks as McDaniels gets a breather. Nurkic and Durant to the bench for Frank Vogel. So final 2.5 to play the quarter. Here comes Booker trying to turn the corner, and this will be on Cat, and it will be his second. So suddenly Booker on the attack for the Suns.
Yeah, and listen, that's a play where the contact was down low, and that's what the officials made the call on. I don't think Coach Finch wants to take another chance there. You can see that, and I think they're saying that contact caused him to lose control of the ball. But I had a teammate that would say after they miss a free throw, ball don't lie.
The great poet, philosopher, Rasheed Wallace. So 6-point game for one of the elite players in the sport. Devin Booker, now 27 years of age. He's made it a 5-point game. Critical minutes here with Durant on the bench. With 2:13 left in the quarter. So Towns playing with 2. Alexander Walker knifes in. Eubanks redirecting the shot. Off the floor comes Gordon, streaks to the paint. Boy, Anthony Edwards' head almost hit the backboard. Monty Morris is whistled for his first. And the athleticism, the fireworks that this kid has in his legs, GA, just when you see it up close, it's just incredible.
He's physically intimidating. I said that earlier. At that size with the wingspan, how strong he is, and then the force with which he plays.
Well, can Eric Gordon give this Phoenix team something off their bench? That's been such a source of concern for them. You mentioned the bench scoring differential in game 1. Gordon struggled the last couple of weeks of the regular season, but he's a guy with a ton of playoff experience.
Yeah, and if I'm Phoenix, I'm feeling good right now because defensively, they're doing a good job as they're going to get a foul on Royce O'Neal there. The issue's been the turnovers. Each starter has turned it over at least once here to start the game, and they've given up 11 points. Minnesota only has 20. So from a defensive standpoint, they've been solid. It's just that their offense hasn't allowed their defense to be at its best.
So again, Karl Anthony Towns playing with 2 personals. He'll shoot free throws here with 1:53 left in the quarter. And Minnesota holding this 3-point lead. Both coaches mic'd for sound tonight. Let's listen in.
Okay, we're getting some good things offensively. Great screen on McDaniels. Great screen on Cat. That's how we got to screen, okay? Physical as hell. We got to win the physicality battle. It shows up in screening and with blockout. Hey, we got to do a better job of boxing out, okay? They got like 3 rebounds in the mid-range, okay? Those are smalls, got to own those, okay?
Chris Finch, year 4 here in Minneapolis. And Frank Vogel, first season in the desert, 3rd team he has taken into the NBA postseason. As Beal, little contact, nothing called. Gordon, hard to the rack.
And we talked about it, how dominant Minnesota was on that backboard. That has not been the case here tonight.
The rebounding numbers, in fact, favoring Phoenix, 10-7. How about that turnaround so far? Reed left open. Booker against Morris as we come up on the final minute in the quarter. Booker trying to create some space, elevates, short. Here comes Edwards. What a matchup against Booker. Into the teeth of the defense. Contact with O'Neal coming to help. And it's last touch. Boy, looks like Booker is hurt as he bore the brunt of that collision. And he's still down.
It looks like he got caught up above the neck there.
Boy, the whistle is on Karl Anthony Towns. Greg, that's his 3rd personal.
And that's a huge play there, just because it limits your rotational diversity if you're Chris Finch.
So Chris Finch rolling the dice, keeping Towns on the floor, and it comes back to haunt them here with 53.9 seconds left in the quarter.
And we talked about it. I understood it with Frank Vogel. You got a top 75 player with all the experience that Kevin Durant has. You know he has the ability to stay out of foul trouble, but Karl Anthony Towns here, that's a little more questionable. You see, he's just coming in to attack. Clearly comes over the back there. That's just not a heads-up play there by Towns.
A little bit reckless considering the circumstances, so Towns sits. Now, who knows how long he's on the bench into the 2nd quarter. So Booker readies himself. Free throw is good. And crazy, this is a 1-point game with 53 seconds left in the quarter. Phoenix shooting just 38%, but Booker has brought them back. They've done it with KD on the bench the last couple of minutes after he picked up his 2nd. And this one is last touched underneath by Eubanks.
And I'll tell you, we talked about it. Phoenix defensively much more active and more physical at the point of attack.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see Frank Vogel slowly start to put his defensive imprint on this team. As Eubanks trying to throw it off the leg of Alexander Walker. And Phoenix slowly but surely has crept into the top 15 in the league in defensive rating. They're now 12th in the league. Edwards bounce underneath and they turn it over.
It's the passing, because Edwards had Morris open a count earlier, but the late delivery allowed for Phoenix to recover defensively.
Boy, Beal got away with a travel. Underneath Eubanks. Gee, I don't think the crowd liked that Mount call.
I don't think they're going to like any call that goes against Minnesota.
Booker into the corner. Gordon misses on a 3, and a rebound knocked into the hands of Reed. 15 seconds. Reed looking to push, and he coughs it up. Boy, what a pass. Gordon ahead to Booker, and then it's Beal. Misses a dunk. Morris, 3 seconds. Boy, circus shot.
And that's a huge sequence there, right? Looks like you got the advantage. You missed the dunk and then give up the layup in transition on the other end.
4-point swing as we get some late fireworks to close out that first quarter. Bradley Beal is going to be thinking about this one during the break. And at the other end, it is Morris building on that lead. You're watching the first round on TNT, presented by NerdWallet. Downtown Minneapolis, as we get set for the start of the second quarter, Minnesota with a 3-point lead. And seconds ago, Stephanie Reddy spending some time with Yusuf Nurkic.
Thank you so much. Okay, you have a larger sample in terms of what they do on the other side. How do you counter that #1 defense in the NBA?
Just being physical. You know, they have a 2 bigs out there, young guard who play defense. You know, they just been extra physical with us. We got to respond. I think we're doing so far.
Okay, so now you've got 3 quarters left. Is there anything in the game plan that you think you have to tweak moving forward?
Give a ball to our best players. We got a lot of power. We got to do it, but also it start on defense.
Thanks for stopping. Good luck.
Yep. Thank you.
See, I would have loved to play with a guy like Nurkic. He knows where his bread is buttered.
Simple and sweet. Bradley Beal to kick out of traffic. Gordon's going to fire. Boy, that's a deep shot for Gordon. And he's given them a shot in the arm with this second unit, and we are tied.
And we talked about who would be that X factor for Phoenix. Not as deep as, say, Minnesota, and Eric Gordon has been that here in this first half.
GA, give us your thoughts so far, all things considered. What we saw in the opener with the rebounding discrepancy as Gordon is bumped here by Morris. Your observation so far?
I think Nurkic hit it right on the head. They've matched the physicality. In fact, they've been more physical. I think they have been the ones to kind of dictate how the game's going to be played. They've raised their level. Having said that, Minnesota is still winning. But that's them winning while you haven't had Durant or Booker get going offensively.
Gordon, little floater with the left hand, follows his own miss, gets it into the corner, and now they're going to reset to Beal. Kevin Durant still on the bench for the Suns. He picked up his second personal in the first quarter. Beal with Gobert there. Nurkic is bumped. This will be on Gobert. And Zach Zarba blows the whistle underneath. So Nurkic giving them something on the interior to try to combat the Twin City Towers here with Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. If he just hopped on with his cat, picked up his 3rd personal at the 53-second mark of the first quarter. So he begins the quarter, GA, on that Minnesota bench.
And, you know, you go back, we talked about matching the physicality. Game 1, Phoenix had 3 offensive rebounds. They've already gotten 5 here in this first half. So that tells you that they are competing at a much higher, make it 6 now, level than they did in that first game.
Gordon knifes in, drops one inside, and it's Nurkic again. First lead for Phoenix after they were down by 9 early. 12-4 Phoenix run going back to the first. Gobert the spin, kicks out. This is Morris, elevates, short. And Minnesota's offense has gone stone cold. Now under 40% shooting from the field. Nurkic able to find the laces, and look at this, another offensive glass rebound. O'Neal, however, turns it over. Conley. Boy, Allen is going to be called for his second. Looked like nearly had the clean strip. More free throws for the Timberwolves.
Yeah, that was a great find there late by Conley, and really a terrific play by Allen to not allow him to get that dunk, not allow him to get this crowd enthused and back into the game.
So Naz Reid to the free throw line. Reid having a career year. Crazy to think this guy was undrafted. What a piece he's turning into for this franchise as he misses on the first. Little sneak peek at the upcoming playoff schedule. TNT True TV have a doubleheader tomorrow. Couple of game 2s, Heat, Celtics in Boston, and the Pelicans Thunder. We'll see what those two have for an encore in our OKC. For more on these games, NBA.com or visit the NBA app. Kevin Durant reinserted by Frank Vogel. And she'll play with 2 personals. Booker on the bench. 1-point Phoenix lead. Couple of minutes gone by here in the second. Games 3 and 4 this series in Phoenix on Friday and Sunday, respectively. Nurkic, boy, Beal, beautiful backdoor cut as he left Alexander Walker in his dust.
And that's one of the advantages by having a center who can play facing the basket. It makes Gobert have to get out of the paint and creates those opportunities down low.
Conley turn to the corner and he goes glass. He's got all those moves in his box. What a career it's been for Conley. Beal, little stop and go hesitation. Brilliant offensive maneuver by Beal.
And one thing I love about Phoenix is their pushing tempo, right? Again, the faster you play, the smaller Minnesota becomes. It doesn't allow them to lock and load defensively and kind of puts them on their heels.
Second bucket for Beal. He's got 4. McDaniels nearly lost his footing. As we move inside at 9 minutes left and a half. Gobert. Now to McDaniels. Curling. No. Second time's a charm. All that length from McDaniels.
How about the second and third efforts there? They're going to get a delay of game on McDaniels there, which was the right call. Crowd didn't like it, but that was the right call. But how about the effort there and the stick-to-itiveness by McDaniels?
Zach Zarba telling Devin Booker he's got to wait to check in at the table with Monte Morris. So points off turnovers, really the only weakness from Phoenix tonight. Their turnovers have led to 12 Minnesota points, 12-0, in fact, in points off turnovers so far.
Yeah, but when they haven't turned it over, they've had quality possessions, either scoring or attacking the offensive glass. And listen, they're playing a great defensive team, so it's not going to be perfect, but they've just got to continue to try to limit the live ball turnovers.
Third three-pointer for Phoenix. Mike Conley Jr. Pretty floater. Nurkic backdoor to Durant. As McDaniels takes his turn. KD fading away. He hits. Just masterful. And a chance at 3 for KD. He can push it to a 5-point lead.
Yeah, and just another solid play by Nurkic. He gets Gobert out of there, right, and puts a body on him and just gives enough space for Durant, even though McDaniels has great length. Length doesn't really bother KD. It's the physicality. And McDaniels doesn't have a huge advantage in that area against him, so he's going to be able to get where he wants to go.
He had 31 in game 1. It was actually his highest scoring game in a month. April has been KD's lowest scoring month of the season. He's only averaged about 23. His efficiency, shooting numbers down this month. But boy, it's playoff time. It's KD time. He was off the charts in game 1. Here's Edwards. Off the back iron. Rebound weak side by Durant. Trying to pick his pocket is McDaniels. And KD somehow going to get it to Nurkic. So a 5-point Phoenix lead. Allen's 3 rims out, the league leader in three-point percentage. And Phoenix comes up empty. Conley gets Allen on his back, and then he turns it over. 2-on-1 run out. KD and Booker. Contact. Offensive on Booker. What a defensive play by Morris.
It was a good play by Morris, but I thought it was actually more of a poor decision by Devin Booker there. He's got that patented pull-up, and you see here, instead of stopping, you can see that Morris had already established position there. You might want to just pull up on that one.
And GA, they're going to challenge this. Frank Vogel using his challenge. With 7:17 left in this opening half on TNT.
The left foot down, therefore the ruling on the floor.
Successful challenge by Frank Vogel. They're going to overturn the call, and that is a pretty significant call. So both coaches have had a successful challenge. Gia, you were pretty stunned by this.
I'm still shocked. You know, you don't have to be stationary. You don't have to be a statue. You just have to establish position. And my rule was always, if your shoulder was right into the middle of the chest, that means you've established position. So your feet can still be moving. Having said that, Zach Zarba didn't agree, and that's a huge break for Phoenix.
You stay true to your convictions, though.
Absolutely.
I respect that. As Devin Booker steps to the free throw line. So both coaches rolling the dice. They've both been successful with their first challenge, so each will maintain it here. And now Devin Booker has given the Suns a 7-point lead. Karl Anthony Towns still on the bench with 3 personals.
Yeah, and Minnesota has not looked good offensively at all. They have no rhythm. And Anthony Edwards really has not been able to create much space to play.
Mike Mike Conley Jr. giving him a shot in the arm off the bench.
He has been really good here in this first half. Struggled game one, only 2 of 12 from the field, but he can sense his team needs a jolt offensively, and he's provided it here in the first half.
Conley, of course, another start, came off the bench to begin this quarter as Durant, boy, tough turnaround shot. Taking out some contacts. KD's got 7.
You can't defend it any better, and that's the beauty of having a superstar, because they can score consistently against great defense.
One thing to keep in mind, Phoenix swept the 3-game regular season series between these two before everything changed in game 1. Edwards misses everything there. So Minnesota comes up empty.
And you see, I mean, you're not going to defend it much better. He's able to also get the contest, but Durant just so skilled and so smooth there with the finish.
Phoenix Suns team that went 49-33 during the regular season. They're one of the better road teams in the league, 24-17. Really strong finish to the regular season. What a pass! Beal to Eubanks. And suddenly the Suns slicing him up.
In a great role. I tell you, the center position for Phoenix thus far has been about as good as it can be. They have been terrific on both ends.
Well, you knew Phoenix would answer the bell after they were blown out in game 1. McDaniels, corner pocket 3.
And I will say, Anthony Edwards hasn't been overly aggressive at getting to the rim, and credit Phoenix for that, but he's done a great job of facilitating for his teammates.
Meanwhile, at this end, Phoenix in the quarter, 8 of 12 shooting as the efficiency levels have gone way up. Durant knocked to the deck here, trying to come around the screen, and boy, already penalty situation for Minnesota, and Durant's going to shoot 2.
Now that play that we just saw there, what happened was they ran a little pick-to-picker action, and Booker actually was able to shield off Gobert and didn't allow him to rotate over to contest on that slam.
So KD, who was at 86% at the line during the regular season, makes good on the first. The NBA on TNT is brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. What a scene this is. Target Center, downtown Minneapolis. A franchise that has won all of 2 playoff series in their history. They both came during that 04 run to the Western Conference Finals, and already some foul trouble that both of these coaches are thinking about. Corner 3, Morris short. And Minnesota now, GA, 3 of 12 from 3. Bradley Beal guarded by Edwards, and Edwards the 5th. Boy, Aaron pass. T-Wolves nearly turned it over right back. Gobert got caught.
And it was actually Gobert that made, how about a heads-up play by him to reach in and get that steal, although he almost hit over a couple times there, but Minnesota will retain possession, and they are missing Karl Anthony Towns. Those 3 fouls, having to sit those extended minutes. He's a guy that can be a first option offensively, but Mike Conley says, I got you.
Mike Conley, first Timberwolves tonight in double digits. He's got 12. And he is picking up some of the scoring slack with Towns on that bench.
He has been terrific. A veteran. He's got a lot of playoff experience, is not afraid of the moment.
Look at what Conley has done. Just a massive first half for him. Booker against Morris. Isolated, backs him down to the box, leans in, and puts it down.
And Devin Booker, really physical at that wing position, does a great job.
Look out, Booker and McDaniels have to be separated. You can see it as they came down the floor, a little pushing and shoving between them. Officials quickly get between to try to diffuse things.
And you saw Devin Booker, give him credit, he understood the moment and didn't retaliate, sensing you do something foolish there and you're out of this game. So that was smart.
Booker is feisty as he is elite.
And it's getting heated, folks. Yeah, I didn't get to see the, you see the push there. We're looking at the monitor up above here in the arena, folks. So let's take a look at this replay as they were coming up. Spiro.
Greg, it's going to be interesting to see how they
foul on Booker, and the foul is under review.
Will there be a little bit extra here? Saw that emphatic shove by McDaniels at the end of the play. Right there from Booker.
That's going to be a double tech. And because he retaliated. He didn't like that screen that was set on him right there.
Yeah, right there. Right, exactly.
And then he leaned back into him. And then the push there. So that you'll probably get a double tech, but my batting average isn't very good tonight, partner, after that challenge on the charge.
I mean, you went out on a limb again.
Oh,
Respect that. So Zach Zarba and Josh Tiven have the headsets on at the table, now in contact with the replay command center back in Secaucus. So a 6-point Phoenix lead. Again, if you're Frank Vogel, you have to be really pleased. Had a couple of off days here to hit the drawing board, and what a difference a couple of days makes for the Suns.
Yeah, and let me say this also. If you're Chris Finch, you're pleased as well. Your two best offensive players have not really had much of an impact in terms of scoring. If you think about it, Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns are combined 1 of 7 from the field, and you look up and you're down 6. You're not going to be too upset about that. So both teams are feeling pretty good right now with how this thing is played out.
All right, the officials have seen enough. Now having one last conference. So the call on the floor is just a personal against Booker, but you have to think there's going to be at least one tech here, if not on both of those players.
And so, like, we had a play earlier where they went back and reviewed to see if Grayson Allen stepped out of bounds, and they have the ability to change that. So even on that play there, you could
After
argue.
review, the foul by Booker was deemed to be a common foul. Added to the play is a technical foul on McDaniels. We'll shoot 1 for Phoenix and a defensive foul down here.
And I think what they're doing is because that first hit by McDaniels, that could have been a foul. But they got the retaliation on Booker, and then the technical is for the extension of the arms by McDaniels there. And again, the crowd won't like it, but looking at that first hit, I can understand where they're going. And if you're McDaniels, you got to just keep your head. Right now, there's a lot of frustration by Minnesota. And if you're Chris Finch, you're telling them, guys, as bad as it is, this is a 3-possession game. We're fine. Our guys haven't gotten going. Let's not lose our heads here and just stay under control.
So you got 50% of that call right. So your batting average does creep up a little bit.
Okay, I'm back to baseball. I'll be what, 333 right now. I'm okay with it.
It's a Hall of Fame batting average. So 7-point game with Booker stepping up to the free throw line. 4:15 left in the half. A Phoenix Suns team that was blown out of the gym by 28 points in game 1. Looking a whole lot better here tonight. Conley, pick and roll action to Gobert. Full extension. Angry flush by the Frenchman.
And again, Mike Conley there, a great time, and you know about their history and chemistry, having been teammates prior to Gobert coming to Minnesota.
But Booker coughs it up. McDaniels run out. Long strides, misses point blank. Allen up the floor quickly underneath. Eubanks sneaking behind the defense.
And a great job of taking advantage of that blown layup, getting the ball up the court quickly, and Eubanks running the floor. Again, that center position for Phoenix has been impactful.
Boy, what a swing that is. Instead of cutting it to 5, they're back down by 7. Actually a chance to cut it to 3. McDaniels, boy, tough shot on a little step back. So McDaniels now the 3rd Timberwolves in double figures with 10. 5-point game. Booker, boy, nearly coughed it up again, trying to tie him up, and Zarba's going to give him the timeout. Minnesota arguing that Booker didn't have complete control as the Suns avoid consecutive turnovers. And that intensity level continues to rise here in Minnesota on TNT. Here in Minneapolis, let's see who's enjoying the limelight. It's presented by Corona. KD and Devin Booker, only the third set of teammates to ever average at least 27 points per game in the history of the NBA. Shaq and Kobe, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West. How far does this Phoenix Suns team go? A couple of interesting notes. Looking at the scoreboard, box score, I should say. Anthony Edwards, only 1 for 5. Karl Anthony Towns hasn't hit a basket yet with his foul trouble, and Edwards has been oddly passive, GA, so far.
Yeah, he hasn't been. I get you wanting to kind of like just let the game come to you, but I'd like to see him play more as an athlete, getting 2 feet in the paint, and he hasn't done that very often. And speaking of getting in the paint, how about Durant there starting to heat up? Remember, he started the game 1 of 4, but obviously starting to find his rhythm.
Karl Anthony Towns still on the Minnesota bench this entire quarter after he picked up his 3rd personal at the end of the first. Here comes Conley. Boy, that is a thing of beauty, going left hand on a scoop.
And, you know, the other thing you love about Mike Conley, he senses that his guys aren't there right now, and he still has that ability to provide a spark offensively.
That's what you want from your point. Just an ultra feel for the game. Durant inside Eubanks, boy, wide open. And it's last touch by Phoenix underneath.
He rushed that. He must have felt Gobert, because that was an opportunity to just go up and slam that one home, but he quick shot it, ends up missing.
This was a Phoenix team that won 7 of its final 10 to close the regular season. Corner 3, near side, no good from Alexander Walker as Minnesota comes up empty.
And even though Edwards didn't shoot that, he forced Phoenix to double team him and created a great opportunity here at weak side.
Durant get a couple of screens from Eubanks, gonna fire. Back iron, rebound Conley. As we hit the final 90 seconds of the half.
Boy, has this been a physical game, and credit Phoenix for making the adjustments, rebounding, points in the paint, second chance points. They've been doing it all.
McDaniels falling away over Durant, and it's last touched by Phoenix. Let's check in with Stephanie.
Guys, you were talking about Mike Conley and his offensive output tonight. Well, I spoke to him this morning about what his role was, and he told me his role is to be the vet, to make these players on his team the best that they can be, but to also provide whatever is needed. He said, I can score 30 a night, but that's not my job. But if they need me to score, I will look to score. And guys, he's looking to score 14 points already. He had 4 in the last game.
Yeah, big turnaround for Conley. Stephanie, there's a 3. That time too much. Alexander Walker, McDaniels. Into the corner. This is Conley again. Slithers into the paint. No. Gobert muscles the rebound, and he's going to shoot free throws.
And that attack by Conley creates an opportunity for Gobert to attack the offensive glass. And as Stephanie mentioned, he's on pace right now to get 30. He's got 14 here in this first half and has really provided a huge offensive spark, as has Rudy Gobert, a perfect 5 of 5 from the field.
It's been interesting to watch this dynamic between Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. Of course, it just looked so clunky early last year. We asked Chris Finch when he thought things started to turn with those two. And he actually mentioned their first-round series against Denver last year, where they started to make a breakthrough. It gave them the template, the blueprint going into the offseason. And this year, of course, they've taken a huge lead.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because, you know, if you think about the postseason, it's a lot like training camp, because you're going to have a lot of time to work on specifics, to game plan, to get a sense and a feel for how your guys function together. And now that they've been able to establish that chemistry, it has really allowed this team to go to another level.
Gobert's got 12 points. Booker inside of a minute left. Beal left open. Well short. And Phoenix goes one and done. Up the floor comes Edwards. McDaniels out of the corner, goes right into the chest of Durant.
And how aggressive has Jaden McDaniels been here tonight?
Nurkic, 5 to shoot. stumbling, spitting, missed it. Edwards pushes ahead to Conley. 5 seconds. Edwards into the corner. Alexander Walker. And that's going to get us to halftime here in Minneapolis. The Wolves close on an 8-2 spurt. And despite getting just 5 points from Edwards and 2 from Karl Anthony Towns, Minnesota is within a point at halftime.
Both teams playing with intensity and physicality, and boy, you couldn't ask for anything more than a game 2 in the playoffs.
This place has been electric. 1-point lead for the Suns. You're watching the first round on TNT, presented by NerdWallet. Downtown Minneapolis, this great American city. What do these two teams have in store for us down the stretch? A 1-point halftime lead for Phoenix as we check out our rewarding performance presented by Capital One. And boy, what a drastic difference in some key areas. Game 1 GA to so far what we've seen tonight.
That and also the impact they've had on Towns and Edwards, not allowing those guys to get into any kind of rhythm offensively. So this is the kind of game, if you're Phoenix, it has to be. Their concern now has to be, can we limit the live ball turnovers in the second half?
Boy, Edwards gets right to work, misses point blank. Gobert trying to tap it in, and they come up empty. So the Minnesota Timberwolves, a 28-point win in game 1. Again, everything they can handle so far here in game 2. Nurkic on the catch, good position underneath. Gobert was there, bothered the shot. Nurkic, second time's a charm.
And that's another offensive rebound, right? A good job of understanding he didn't get that first shot off the way he wanted, but able to corral that offensive rebound.
And his 7th offensive rebound overall tonight as Towns just trying to get himself going. He played only 8 minutes in the first half. He picked up his 3rd personal at the 53-second mark of the first quarter and sat the entire second. Durant against Gobert, physical contact in the perimeter. KD going left, missed it.
Yeah, that's a heck of a job defensively by Gobert, not allowing KD to create space there and able to get the contest.
Boy, it shows you some of his greatness defensively, doing that against KD on the perimeter. Here's McDaniels, good seal off by Booker, and he turns it over. Let's check in with Stephanie. Steph, you spoke to Chris Finch.
I did, and I asked him, hey, if I told you that Cat and Ant would have combined for 7 points and 6 rebounds in the first half and you'd only be down 1, would you take it? He giggled kind of a little bit. He said, yeah, including all the foul trouble that we're in. So he knew that they were in a good position. He said he wants to see the offense move the ball more. They're getting open looks. They're just not knocking them down. He did say the rebounding was a concern, and he wanted them to play a little bit smarter.
All right, let's see how his team bounces back, Stephanie, here in the second half. Nurkic going drop step. Pretty with his feet, just couldn't finish.
Yeah, but again, that's the Gobert effect. He doesn't get a block, but he gets a rushed shot. I think that's a stat they should start keeping. They're going to get billed for stepping out of bounds, because that's 2 straight layup attempts, really 3, that he was able to alter because he speeds you up. His shot blocking prowess really forces you to try to get the shot off a count quicker than normal, and oftentimes that forces a miss.
A Phoenix Suns team that finished the regular season winning 10 of their final 14 against a really tough schedule. That is McDaniels with a 23-year-old coming hard to the cup.
Yeah, and listen, Anthony Edwards hasn't been able to get to the rim consistently, but he has created some great opportunities for his teammates. That was one where he put McDaniels in a position where he could attack.
Boy, KD misses another one in tight, and again, it's the presence of Rudy Gobert. Even when he doesn't get his hand on it, just such a massive presence. Conley misses point blank, and then Nurkic takes a little shove. It'll be against Gobert.
And Grayson Allen comes up limping there.
Allen is still down. Remember, he tweaked his ankle in game 1. Didn't quite see what happened, but he is in a world of pain underneath.
And that is significant. And, you know, you say, well, he's only got 3 points, but folks, oftentimes when you can shoot it the way he does, his spacing creates a lot of opportunity for your best players to attack.
It was his right ankle in game one. Hard to see, GA, which leg it is there. Just another look at the replay. Allen, it's the same one. It's the same right ankle.
Oh, that's going to put his availability in doubt, not just for the rest of the night, but for this series.
Remember, game 3 is coming up on Friday as Bradley Beal able to push this to a 3-point lead. So how did Phoenix now respond after seeing Grayson Allen limp into that locker room? Here comes Cat, contact, and he's going to shoot free throws.
Yeah, so that's the second time where Anthony Edwards' presence creates an advantage because he gives you a pass that you can attack. So you watch this play here. Watch how McDaniels reads. He's got him in rotation that creates an opportunity to attack, and because you got Gobert down there posting, doesn't allow Nurkic the opportunity to contest. And he just did it again for Towns, where they load to Anthony Edwards by being a willing passer. It creates an opportunity to attack for Karl Anthony Towns. And now getting to the free throw line when you haven't had the ball go through the basket from the perimeter, it maybe helps you get your rhythm here. So good job of distributing by Anthony Edwards.
So Towns, remember, the 18 games he missed after tearing the meniscus in his knee. He returned for the last 2 regular season games, so still trying to get himself up to speed. But it's been interesting to watch him. He hasn't pressed. You know, he's deferred a little bit to Anthony Edwards, just trying to let things come to him.
And I wanted to see how he responded to adversity. You see Grayson Allen, that does not look like the sign of someone that's going to be coming back here tonight. But I was always concerned with Karl Anthony Towns' emotional stability, as you see Nurkic there with a great post-up and able to deliver in the paint. And I like how he's responding because he's not overly emotional. He's still under control as Karl Anthony Towns. And I think that's been really going to be important for this young Timberwolves team throughout this series.
Yusuf Nurkic pleading his case. 12 seconds on the shot clock for Minnesota. So Frank Vogel and company, how do they handle this now without Grayson Allen? Boy, what a play. It's Towns. Hard move to the hole.
And no question, getting to that free throw line, understanding the matchup that he has and the lack of rim protection that Phoenix possesses, and he was not to be denied on that attack.
First made basket tonight for Karl Anthony Towns, and he can tie it right here.
And one thing to focus on, and I tell this to young players, you get in the postseason, your stats don't matter. You've got to focus on time and score. That's all that matters. So even though he was not as effective because of foul trouble in that first half, it was a one-point game. That's all that matters. In the second half, it's about doing whatever I can to help my team get it done.
So we are even at 57. We come up on the 8-minute mark in quarter number 3, game 2 here in Minneapolis.
Minnesota's gone to this zone. And they forced that missed corner 3 there.
So Beal unable to hit. Edwards falling out of bounds, gets it to Towns. That's good.
And again, Anthony Edwards there. Again, statistically not lighting it up, but he is controlling the floor in the half court with his decision making.
Durant hitting the rim a couple of times, misfires. First lead for the Timberwolves since the end of the first quarter. Edwards doing his dance underneath. This is McDaniels. And now they're going to reset. Towns going to fire. It's the old heat check.
It really does look good every time it leaves his hands. So that guy can flat out shoot it.
Towns shot 42% from 3 in this regular season. Beautiful setup, Booker into the corner for Beal. And Phoenix punches back.
And that's that coveted corner 3 that teams work so desperately to create in the half court.
For the loss of Allen for Phoenix so significant. Here's Edwards on the answer, misfires. And Anthony Edwards is now 1 for 7 from the field. Booker steps into a three splash.
I'll tell you, the elevation he gets on that jump shot is as good as anybody in this league.
Back-to-back threes for Phoenix, 6 straight, as the Suns are back in front on TNT. Here in Minneapolis, you are watching the 2024 NBA playoffs presented by Google Pixel. 3-point Phoenix lead, back-to-back threes, Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. So Anthony Edwards, see what he did in the opener, 33 points, 5 tonight. He does have 6 assists, couple of steals, so he's impacted the game, GA, in other areas, but at some point, they need him to get out of first gear.
Yeah, one thing I like for young players to learn is how to play well when you're not playing well. And by that I mean when shots aren't falling, can you figure out other ways to impact the game? And one of the things that happens with Gobert, for all the positives, when they go with the 2 bigs, they're going to miss that corner 3, but a great offensive rebound by McDaniels there to get that deuce. One of the issues is you don't put the defense in rotation because they can load and almost zone up because of your personnel. So let's see with this unit out here now from Minnesota if he can get into the teeth of the defense.
Tough shot for Booker, kept alive by Nurkic, who has been a beast on the offensive glass tonight. Durant really stepped out of bounds. Shot clock at 7. This is Royce O'Neal beating Edwards. Boy, who got him from the back. What a defensive recovery. Here comes Edwards, Beal, and it's going to be a reaching foul.
And that's one way to get going. Get out in the open floor, utilize that incredible athletic ability and get yourself to the line.
So Anthony Edwards, who was an 84% free throw shooter, will take his 3rd and 4th of the night. The NBA on TNT is brought to you by Chipotle. Real flavor, real ingredients. Chipotle for real. So great to have you with us. Target Center, standing room only, 20,000 plus. Spiro Ditas, Greg Anthony, Stephanie Reddy, our producer Bert Bondi, Andy Goldberg, our director, rest of our sensational TNT crew. Phoenix trying to do what no team has done so far in these playoffs. Win as a road team. Nurkic, shot clock down to 1. He's got no idea. It's deflected, and then Beal turned back by Edwards. And he lets him hear about it.
Great job there defensively. And Nurkic just got to be a little more cognizant of where he is in relation to the shot clock. He's got to be trying to get to some DHOs with the personnel they have on the floor.
Keep your eye on Edwards and Beal drawing at each other a little bit. As Beal went right back at him. This will be contact against Booker off ball. As Beal and Edwards are still jawing at each other. That'll be the 2nd against Booker.
I think that's going to put Minnesota into the penalty here for the rest of this quarter. That's their 4th foul, so they'll be shooting free throws from here on out.
Frank Vogel replaces Royce O'Neal with Eric Gordon. Shot clock at 10. This is Naz Reid. Rolls down the paint, extends. Beautiful.
How about the versatility? And that's what I meant about now. You can play more 5-out, which makes it a little bit harder defensively to load to the basketball.
So Alex Rodriguez, Mark Lowry, limited partners. Durant spinning, short. Minnesota's got it.
And Chris Finch trying to get Edwards to play faster. Don't let the defense set.
Beal extending his defense, and this is going to put Minnesota in the bonus.
And that's an example of why you want to pick up the pace. We talked about it earlier. When you're struggling against the loaded defense, play earlier in the shot clock. Don't allow them to get set there. And Beal just a little overzealous there, trying to deny.
Yeah, we just saw A-Rod and Mark Lowry Glenn Taylor is seated directly across from them. The ownership situation here.
You think they're going to have dinner tonight? You think they'll get together after the game?
Boy, that has added some intrigue, hasn't it, with this franchise? Glenn Taylor, you know, the agreement to sell the franchise. Now that thing is going to mediation on May 1st. Minnesota with 8 straight points, a lot of contact, and finally they get it on Edwards.
And they get the foul, but if you're Bradley Beal in Phoenix, just throw the ball ahead. Like, I remember when I used to play at Muggsy Bogues, who's an incredible defender. You don't want to go against this. All he's doing is eating up that shot clock. Just throw the ball ahead, get into your offense. Don't allow that pressure to dictate how the possession goes.
Here comes Beal, hard move, missed it. Nurkic crashes the glass again. Here comes Gordon. The shot clock didn't reset. Wait, did that get rim?
No, it did. I didn't think he hit rim on that. It was just a great effort of Nurkic, understanding too. Again, when you get the dribble penetration, it's going to create avenues to attack the offensive glass. And Nurkic and really this entire Suns team's done a great job of that here in game 2.
So side out of bounds for Phoenix as we come up on the 4-minute mark in this third quarter. This is Gordon, puts it on the deck, barrels into the paint, well short of the floater. Cat clears. So Phoenix's offense has gone cold. Their shooting percentage now has dipped to 41%. And they've missed their last 5. Edwards on a launch. Boy, Nurkic has been the linchpin in what has been just a crazy turnaround in the rebounding numbers. Game 1 to tonight. Nurkic with his 12th rebound.
He's been terrific, and not just with the rebounding, but he's made a lot of plays for Phoenix as well.
Keeps it alive to Durant, elevates, short. And they still can't buy one. Here we go, right here. Edwards against Durant. Edwards wants to take him, elevates, and buries it.
I was just about to say, wasn't really a great shot, but that's what great players can do. Great players have that ability to score against great defense. Edwards gets this crowd rocking here in Minneapolis.
Live look at our FanDuel Live point spread for tonight's game. You see where it started, you see where it's at. As Minnesota has turned that deficit into a 7-point lead with 3:03 left. So 10 unanswered for Minnesota. Phoenix, GA, has not scored in 3.5 minutes. They've missed 7 straight shots. Alexander Walker extending his defense, and he forces a turnover.
And that's the thing about having that point guard, because it's a different handle when you have to deal with pressure. We saw Anthony Edwards extended against Bradley Beal there. Nikhil Walker able to extend it against Devin Booker.
Edwards double team, gets it to Alexander Walker. Now McDaniels out of the corner. Spins, but he's got everything working tonight.
And I go back to Anthony Edwards having a terrific game, even though he's not shooting it well. He's got the highest plus-minus of anybody on the Timberwolves team because of plays like that. And boy, was that needed for the Suns.
Quick timeout taken by Chris Finch with 2:29 left. Late third quarter on TNT. KD getting Phoenix's first points in more than 4 minutes as they have cut this to 7. Let's check in with Stephanie.
Well, Spiro, the Wolves defense has been well documented that it's #1 in the NBA, so I asked Mike Conley about why it was so good. He said he honestly believes it's the combination of the 5 guys out there. They're really a complete defensive team. They're not reliant on just Rudy. As we saw, they made those defensive stops with Gobert on the bench. We're not relying on Cat or Jaden or on Ant. They all play defense. They take pride in it. And, guys, it's turning into easy offense, which helps them when they're struggling.
Naz Reid barrel into the cup. He's going to shoot free throws. There is no doubt it is a full deep team commitment to defense here for Minnesota under Chris Finch as this franchise continues its ascension. 56 wins this season, got up to the #3 seed. They, of course, flirted with the #1 seed, Greg, right up until the end of the regular season. And now the only question is, how far can this team go?
And they can go to the finals. They're that good. Now, they've got a ways to go offensively. We know that. But their defense is championship caliber. And in part to what Stephanie's talking about, you think about it, you got 3 All-NBA defenders. When you think about McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, he probably won't make it this year, but he is without question a guy who's got All-NBA, All-Defense caliber talent. And with Gobert probably going to win the Defensive Player of the Year again. And listen, Mike Conley's been all defense in this league. Like, they've got guys that not only can still compete defensively, but they understand how to play defense. They understand team defense. And, boy, they got a lot of athletes on the floor.
Boy, you saw the free throw discrepancy in this quarter. That's a big part of the story as well as Devin Booker. Boy, now he comes up a little bit hobbled and looks like he's in some pain.
And I thought he did that on that turnover he had against Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It looked like he kind of got that knee. He fell awkwardly.
Bradley Beal nearly picking Edwards' pocket as he ratchets up the defense. 8 seconds to shoot. And 1:38 left as those two, Beal and Edwards, continue to battle. Edwards going right back at him into the corner. Alexander Walker fills it up with a corner pocket 3.
And I'm just loving the decision-making by Edwards. And then how about the impact Alexander Walker has had for this group off the bench? That shot it great, but boy, he has been solid defensively.
Year 5 for him, career best season from 3, and he's called for a reach in here. They still had one to give, but they did say that he was. Well, now he just realized it's a side out of bounds, and Gordon can't believe it.
Yeah, I thought he was in the act of shooting as well, but the officials say no, and they got to take the ball out on the sideline.
Gordon's going to lose that argument as he barks in the direction of Josh Tibbins to the side out of bounds. Eubanks gets run into by Durant. And here we go, 6 to shoot. KD Eubanks rolls to the cup.
And that was a smart play by Eubanks. Terrific pass, but Eubanks saw that Gobert had extended there on that double team, which created that pass, and now just an unforced error with the turnover.
Boy, Drew Eubanks, again, all the talk about bench scoring or lack thereof for the Suns, he's given them a half dozen off the bench. GA, they'll take anything they can get from that second unit.
And overall, they've done a good job, and there's going to get a turnover with the kick ball off of Durant's foot. It looks like it from my angle, but I don't think they're going to challenge it. Wait.
Frank Vogel just absolutely irate. So a Phoenix turnover with 43 seconds left in the quarter. Another look at it from this vantage point. Boy, they got a good argument. Looked like it was off Reed's foot.
But they are, this is a tough break. They do have a challenge, but
they do. They won one earlier. Interesting.
Minnesota had an opportunity to go 2 for 1 here.
Edwards elevates. Short. Little contact between Beal and Towns. About a 5-second difference. Shot to game clock. 14 on the timer. Minnesota is out of fouls. 5 to shoot. KD is bumped, and he'll step to the straight. And that is the 4th on Towns.
And the 4th foul at this stage is not a killer, but I just did not like that decision by Karl Anthony Towns there. There's no reason when you're out there on an island by yourself to put the onus on the official. You just got to be a little more disciplined defensively, knowing they're in the penalty.
GA, you saw the run from Minnesota as KD rolls in first. Where did this game turn from what you've seen in this third quarter?
I just think their defense, you know, if you think about that stretch, Phoenix struggled to get good looks at the rim. Their offense didn't create anything easy, and they ended up having to play a lot more through Nurkic than they would like to. And so that's, look, when you got the firepower that they have, they've got to be better, even though they're going against a great defensive team, at creating opportunities in the half court.
15 for Durant, final 4 seconds. Edwards nearly coughed it up, and it's going to be a reach-in foul. Free throws for Edwards. Boy, that stings a little bit with 1.3 left on the clock. And this time it's on O'Neal.
But Edwards did a great job of attacking before Phoenix got their defense set. Generally, he's going to be able to beat one defender consistently, and they didn't have the rotation there in time to thwart it.
Minnesota has led by as many as 9 going back early to the first quarter. Before Phoenix stormed back, they took an 8-point lead before this thing turned quickly back into Minnesota's favor in this third quarter. Edwards misses the second rebound. O'Neal. Frank Vogel pleading for the foul there late. We saw a lot of this in game 1 as they surround Josh Tiven in front of that Phoenix bench.
But I like that Josh Tiven allowed those guys the opportunity to kind of yell.
7-point Minnesota lead. You're watching the first round on TNT, presented by NerdWallet.
Welcome back to Minneapolis, and the 17-year vet Mike Conley got off to a terrific start. Really kept Minnesota in this game in that first half and just kind of set the tone and calmed them down to allow them to kind of extend that lead. And moments ago, our Stephanie Reddy caught up with the point guard.
Mike, you guys had to come back in the beginning of the game, and now you've taken the lead. What do you want to see to continue to pull away?
I think our mentality has to stay the same. We got to stay aggressive, being physical defensively, and try to keep our head in the game. Mentally, there's some calls going, back and forth, and we got to fight through that and play the game that we know how to play.
We've seen your defense really take control of the game, but on the offensive end, what can you do to make it sharp, make it more clean?
We got to create space for each other. I think the court is getting shrunk a little bit. They're loading up on that. Ant's trying to make the right read, and the other guy's got to make the right read after that. So just pass, play with the pass, and try to get a good shot.
Thanks for stopping. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right, Steph, he's been doing it for 17 years. Just crazy to think. Boy, another Phoenix turnover as Nurkic crumples to the deck. Conley up the floor quickly into the corner. McDaniels back to Alexander Walker. They'll reset. Excellent ball movement. Here's Gobert, spins, and he's bumped.
And really the theme of this game, if you're the Phoenix Suns, is your inability to take care of the basketball. 23 points off those turnovers by Phoenix. Minnesota, conversely, only 2 points given off their 9 turnovers, and they got a chance to get a couple more here. So that's really been what's got to be disconcerting for Frank Vogel and his team.
Phoenix was up 51-50 at halftime, but they're outscored in the third quarter 28-20. And right now they're down 8. Frank Vogel, Mike for sound tonight.
Hey, that quarter went really bad. It's a 7-point game. Yeah, that's nothing. Yeah, they just came back from down 20 last game. Yeah, we get right back in this. Good with stops down here. Stops and breaks. Okay, stops and breaks. Give me some big threes. I need a big three from both of you guys these next 4 minutes. He's shot ready. Look for it. Hunt it.
Frank Vogel working hard, trying to rally the troops in that Suns timeout huddle. Here comes Beal, full head of steam. Boy, just masterful. Got Gobert on his back and lays it up and in. It's a 7-point game, and Beal's got 14.
And a good job of using Nurkic as a pressure release with that extended press there by Minnesota.
By the way, Stephanie Reddy confirming that Grayson Allen is done for the night. Tweaked his right ankle as Cat keeps it alive to Conley. Here comes Alexander Walker. High arching floater.
And that was a second chance opportunity. Karl Anthony Towns with an incredible effort there to keep it alive.
Gordon just a massive shot for Phoenix.
And this is the team 5th best in the league in terms of three-point percentage, so they can get it up and get it in with the best of them.
Boy, what a pass. Gobert, Conley, dropping dimes.
And a great job of overloading the weak side there and creating that opportunity late on the rotation were the Suns.
Mike Conley Jr., 14 in the first half, carving him up. Booker defended tightly, and he turns it over again.
When you go back to it again, Rudy Gobert has been incredible defensively. You see how they got it overloaded there, and then the rotations late. You've got to see that, anticipate that if you're Phoenix, knowing that Gobert has to roll.
Towns throws it away. Gordon is there. Every possession magnified, it feels like. Boy, this is going to be an offensive foul on Phoenix.
And Devin Booker doesn't like it, wants them to challenge.
That'll be Booker's fourth.
And I think they're going to.
I think you're right. They got one left after they were successful early, and now Vogel will indeed challenge. Offensive foul, the call against Booker. Who initiated? Here in Minneapolis, it's an unsuccessful challenge by Frank Vogel. The hooking call, an offensive foul against Devin Booker stands his fourth. So they lose a timeout, and now Phoenix, GA, has one timeout left with 9:55 left.
And no challenge as well. And that's a tough one. I thought the right call there in terms of the foul. And now if you're Phoenix, well, you got to lock in defensively, and you still got to make sure you can control that defensive backboard.
Mike Conley Jr. again running that pick and roll action. Gobert going no look to Towns. How about the freshman? A little mustard on that pass. This place has come alive at Target Center. A fan base that is starved for postseason success. Bradley Beal against Conley, trying to create some space. One to shoot, he fires. Missed it.
Yeah, that's just not very good offense there. Just too stagnant and really not giving yourself an opportunity to put Minnesota in rotation.
So we hit the 9-minute mark. McDaniels weak side, he's been huge tonight. Offensive rebound, Conley. Speaking of huge.
And again, the ability to run that pick and roll and put Phoenix in rotation creates the offensive rebound opportunity, and Conley with the dagger.
Devin Booker, short. McDaniels has it. And right now, the Suns are on the ropes. Still plenty of time left, but a 7-0 run for Minnesota.
And without your best player on the floor in Anthony Edwards, so impressive here what the Timberwolves have been able to do.
McDaniels slithers in as they punch him in the mouth again. Biggest lead tonight. And it's a Phoenix turnover.
And the frustrations now starting to set in for Phoenix, but you've got to give this Minnesota team a tremendous amount of credit. Dealt with all the adversity in that first half, the foul trouble, and they have come out here and controlled this game here in the second.
Remember, Minnesota was down a point at halftime. McDaniels keeps on coming. The bottom has just fallen out from beneath the Suns.
Time. Next here on TNT, league's leading scorer, Luka Doncic, trying to get the Mavs even with the Clippers, and that is Kawhi Leonard, and he is in the starting lineup for Game 2. Clippers leading 1-0. Let us get you back to target. Spiro.
All right, Ernie, so big news for the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard is back, and we will be watching later tonight. That is Eubanks. Beautiful roll to the basket. And that ends an 11-0 run, GA, by Minnesota.
Yeah, well, they needed that. And listen, plenty of time here if your Phoenix to get back in it, but you need to be really disciplined defensively.
Gobert double team Towns. Beautiful move under control, and then he threw it away. Durant to steal. Up the floor, bounces to Booker in the corner. Underneath, Eubanks. Beautiful spin, and again, unable to finish in tight.
Yeah, that's not a good decision. He had Durant there for an easy layup if he just dropped it off, and Ant-Man makes him pay with that triple in transition.
Boy, that's a killer sequence for Phoenix. A 5-point swing. They missed the layup on one end, and Edwards with a three. Gordon from deep. That's a three.
That was huge there because it was looking like they were starting to lose connection here. 15 points still doable if you can string together stops.
Gordon and Eubanks have given them significant minutes off the bench. Edwards misses, and then Beal getting the attention of Josh Chivin, and Edwards is called for the offensive foul.
That's about as late a call as you're going to get, but I think it was the right one. Looked like Anthony Edwards, after he went up, watch that left arm just comes down right there. And the reason you call that is because it affects the play. That's the thinking in terms of the officiating there. It took Beal out of the play where he couldn't go after that defensive rebound.
Well, that couldn't have felt good for Beal. Remember, he had that nasal fracture in January, played with a face mask for a while. As Beal trying to fend off McDaniels, all that length he's got to deal with, goes off glass, and he missed.
Yeah, and you're just not going to be successful taking tough contested shoes like that. You need a little more ball movement if you're Phoenix.
Chris Finch taking a timeout to try to get his team reset. They're up 15 on TNT. Peak upcoming national playoff schedule. Doubleheader tomorrow on TNT and True TV. Couple of game twos, Heat, Celtics, Pelicans, and the Thunder. What a series that is expected to be with OKC up 1-0. NBA.com or the NBA app. So a 15-point Minnesota lead, 6:04 to play as we come up on a midway point, GA, of this fourth quarter. Phoenix looked like they were gassed for long stretches of that third quarter. Remember, no Grayson Allen. You can't overstate the importance of his absence. Re-aggravated that right ankle injury late first half. Guy who gave them some balance. Such a top-heavy team with their three stars.
No question about it. And with this group, it's such a tough matchup because of the size and athleticism of Minnesota.
Conley misses a floater. Quick outlet by Eubanks. Here comes Booker. Boy, the hesitation. That'll be a goaltend against McDaniels. So just like that, they cut it to 13. Booker's got 20 with 5:48 left.
And if you're Chris Finch, you can live with misses, but you cannot live with a lack of floor balance where you don't get back in transition.
Conley again running that pick and roll action. Resets to Edwards. Edwards, if you've just joined us, is 3 of 11 shooting tonight. 15 points. He's been better since halftime. Fending off Beal, and he threw it away. But Booker had to save it right into the arms of Alexander Walker. And then they give it right back. Gobert. This will be on Eubanks. And Rudy Gobert is going to shoot 2.
And, you know, it's interesting. The shot clock reset.
Boy, Frank Vogel just
living right now. But here, just a great job by Mike Conley to keep that ball in play. Phoenix didn't like the call, but I thought they grabbed possession when they tried to save that. Because he grabbed it, he had complete control of that ball as he was going out of bounds. Nickeil Alexander-Walker didn't realize that the shot clock had reset.
So Vogel extending that conversation now with Zach Zarba. Every point looms so large here down the stretch. That margin for error just minuscule right now for the Suns. As Conley extends this to a 14-point lead. 5 and change left in regulation. And now Gobert is going to shoot 2 for Minnesota.
And I cannot overstate, you touched upon it, not just the loss of Grayson Allen, but the lack of trust in what's left on that bench, because there's a level of fatigue that you can see. These games get really physical, especially when you have to battle against the size of Minnesota, and it wears on you.
The NBA on TNT is brought to you by Roundup. This stuff works. And by the Wendy's Cinnabon Pull-Apart, a sweet start to your day, only at participating U.S. Wendy's. A Timberwolves franchise, again, that has won 2 playoff series in their history. Both of them coming in the 04 playoffs.
Yeah, got to the conference final. Remember that team.
Going back to KG and Sam Cassell. Wally Zerbiak, who's in the house tonight. Here's Beal, shot clock at 5. Booker. Eubanks. Turn back by Gobert. They bottle up Edwards. Conley swings into the corner. McDaniels. What a night he's putting together. 25 on the big stage.
And Phoenix had to extend with that double team on the opposite side of the floor. Great job of rotating it for the wide open triple.
Quick basket and answer by Gordon. Boy, you consider the stakes. One of the biggest nights of 23-year-old Jaden McDaniels' career. Remember, he missed the first round series against Denver last year. How different does he make this team? Conley, a little bit short. Durant's got it.
Yeah, a little quick on that trigger there. If you're Minnesota, you literally just want to make sure you use the entire clock here.
Kevin Durant has been quiet down the stretch. Cuts it to 15 and a quick timeout taken. 3:53 left as everyone catches their breath on TNT. Wally Zerbiak in the house here at Target Center. Shades of that 03-04 team. There's your score. You can watch hit shows like Up and Adams and Run It Back with the FanDuel Plus app, available for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV connected devices. Always good to see Mr. Zerbiak.
No doubt about it. He is loving what he's seeing here tonight. And also enjoyed that Knicks-Sixers game last night. He was in New York.
What a scene that was down the stretch. Do the Suns have one last push here? Inside of 4 minutes, here comes Edwards. This has been his moments. Not that time as his struggles continue. He's now 3 of 12 shooting. Booker nearly traveled, maintained the pivot foot. Durant around a screen, contact, couldn't hit, but he's going to shoot 2.
And I'll tell you what, Durant will get a couple of free throws here, but you got to give Minnesota a tremendous amount of credit for their game plan. Chris Finch in understanding how they wanted to attack Phoenix defensively. And they have been able to limit the big 3 from the Suns.
The game's all in the NBA app. Stay up to the action with real-time highlights, scores, stats, and behind-the-scenes stories. Download the NBA app, powered by Microsoft. Suns team GA 49 wins. Jury's still out on whether this can work with the roster makeup. They bring Bradley Beal in, such a top-heavy roster.
Well, you know, the thing is, I don't mind it being top-heavy as long as the ancillary parts complement. You know, if you're going to have 3 guys that are perimeter-oriented the way they have, you've got to have some girth, some athleticism, and some toughness along that front line with your other guys, and that's some of the areas where they struggle. You look at the fact that all 3 guys, in essence, have been inefficient, and you know, it's not about their ability to make shots, though. It's about Phoenix's ability to create quality shots. The shot selection has been really challenging. So many of what they get is contested because of how good this Minnesota team is defensively.
Boy, what a pass. Edwards. Gobert couldn't finish. Gobert says he was hit. No whistle. So we crossed the 3-minute mark. Phoenix with possession. They're in a 14-point hole. Durant trying to fend off McDaniels. And this is going to be a reach-in here on McDaniels. Shot clock was down to 9.
And not a bad foul, though. Listen, you got one to give. Force him to have to take it out on the sideline. Allow yourselves to reset your defense.
It's only their second team foul. That's the other thing. They're so good. #1 defensive rating team. But they haven't fouled tonight. Gordon from deep. A little bit short. The tip. Nurkic, it doesn't go. And the rebound, Minnesota. Boy, Booker is bumped. This will be the 5th as Booker is called. And some more join.
Yeah, it's frustration right there. You see Booker just still competing, playing hard, trying to force a turnover there, and kind of slipped and creates that foul.
So 14 foul against Phoenix as we come up on the final 2 minutes. On the perimeter, it's Alexander Walker chiseling his way to the rack and contact.
And just another example of, because of Anthony Edwards' presence, he forces you as Devin Booker fouls out there. That's his 6th foul. You have to load to Anthony Edwards. And when he makes a pass that creates an advantage, like he did there, it just puts too much pressure on that back line from the Suns.
So Booker is done.
You watch that, you see Booker's having to run and close out, and that closeout creates the opportunity for Alexander Walker to attack, and a beautiful finish there through traffic. It looks like Frank Vogel is waving the white towel along with all these fans here in Minneapolis.
Josh Okogie checks into the game, as does Bol Bol. Nasir Little as Frank Vogel is going to start to clear that bench. 2:17 left, so this thing will head to the desert with Minnesota holding a 2-0 lead. They're going to hold serve with games 3 and 4 Friday and Sunday in Phoenix.
Now, this last 2 minutes and 12 seconds is really important for Phoenix, because right now Frank Vogel's trying to find out who else can I rely on off my bench. So these guys coming into the game, if you're Bobo, if you're Okogie, Nasir Little, you want to show that you can come in and have an impact, because down 2-0, adjustments are going to have to be made by the Suns.
David Roddy has also checked into the game, acquired in that deadline deal from Memphis. Eubanks underneath, over the top of Gobert, and he misses. And now Chris Finch is going to take a timeout to empty his bench. Boy, what a response by Minnesota. They were down 1 at halftime, but they put one on the chin of the Suns down the stretch.
Welcome back. Well, the Minnesota Timberwolves proved all season they were the best defensive team in our league. How about forcing 31 points off of 20 Phoenix Suns turnovers, and it was their defense that set the tone and made the difference in this game.
Jaden McDaniels, sensational, as they had other guys step up on a night that, we haven't seen vintage Anthony Edwards. Karl Anthony Towns, the foul trouble in the first half. Just didn't matter down the stretch.
But what you saw was Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns impact winning, and understanding that it wasn't about their stats, it was about their impact. And they made the plays that were presented for them, and that's why this team takes a 2-0 lead as they're going to get ready to head to the desert.
Sometimes you see a young player try to shoot his way out of struggles. We didn't see that Anthony Edwards tonight. Didn't force anything. GA just stayed within the confines of their offense, and that goes to the maturity of how quickly he's been able to mature at this level now. A guy who's still, again, just 22 years of age. It's a big building block win from Minnesota.
And don't discount the impact from Karl Anthony Towns as well, Spiro, because he also, listen, really difficult to pick up 3 fouls. He sat for about 9 straight minutes. in that first half, but he had a tremendous impact in that third quarter with his decision-making and playmaking as Nasir Little knocks down the triple. And like I said earlier, like Frank Vogel right now is trying to figure out, okay, what adjustments can we make? Who else on our roster can we get? Right now, he's looking for middle relievers. He's looking for guys that can eat up some minutes so his team can be pressured down the stretch.
T.J. Warren into the game, the former Phoenix Sun. Three-pointer that time. No. Bowl able to track down the miss on the baseline. It was Wendell Moore Jr. on a missed three. This is Little. Came into the league as a Portland Trail Blazer. Turnaround fade in front of that Minnesota bench. So 23 seconds left. These two teams will quickly begin preparation for game 3. But a lot to figure out for Frank Vogel in Phoenix.
Yeah, but listen, he's got one advantage. You've got 3 of the best players in our league. So this series far from over.
Minnesota takes the whistle, the turnover there, 1.5. And that's going to do it. Little with the heave as Minnesota hold serve, and they win it with a convincing second half performance down the stretch. 105 to 93 as they head to Phoenix with a 2-0 series lead. We'll break. We'll have the second half of our TNT playoff doubleheader next when we send you to LA for the Clippers and the Mavericks. You've been watching the NBA on TNT.